Hey guys, this video is going to serve as kind of a part 2 to my previous video, which was about the Challenger of tips and tricks. Today I wanted to give you my tier list for all of the Challenger of bosses in the game, and also talk about some of the boss mechanics and how to best fight them. Since I mostly play range classes, this tier list is going to be from the perspective of somebody who is mostly fighting on range, but I will be making comments on how I think the bosses will do for melee classes and what kind of things need to change, if any. So let's get started straight away. So with Crusader King, I'd say he'd probably middle of the road boss. He'd probably go in B tier. Shade of Destruction, I'd say this boss is definitely an F tier boss, and if you get this boss, probably the best thing to do would be to quit the rift. I mean, it looks like a demon boss, but it's actually a beast type, and it's just a nightmare to kill. And it just gets harder as you get further through the fight, because he's going to spawn more of those flame attacks, and it's just a nightmare to dodge all of them. So next we've got Vekaja, aka Big Mama. And I would say this boss is definitely S tier, one of the best for range classes. For melee classes, it can be a decent boss if you know where to stand. You have to stand at a specific spot behind her and dodge the stick attack that she does, but also you kind of have to deal with the minions, which you don't really have to deal with if you're a range character. I'd still say it's a very decent boss. It's a demon. I'll be talking about how to fight her for both range and melee classes. So next we've got Sandshaper. This is definitely another F tier boss. I don't really need to explain why so much, but the attacks he does are very hard to see, and he does the tornado attack, which probably that's the easiest attack to dodge. Other than that, he's got like a ground attack, which is really hard to see where he's going to do it, and then he's does the attack with the light beams that kind of hit you and one-shot you, and you have to rotate in a circle, and while you're rotating, you can't really hit him. It's just a complete nightmare. If you get this boss, also just quit the rift, I would say. Next we've got Vryss. This is an interesting one. I'd say this is probably, in terms of mechanics, one of the easiest bosses to deal with. She's got a few range attacks, and they're pretty easy to see where they're going. She's got the red skulls and the green skulls. The green skulls are really slow and easy to dodge. The red skull attacks, she does like 3 or 4 of them, and then she's also got the red skulls where you have to stand still. She does spawn a golem, but he also is pretty easy to deal with. You can see where he's going to jump, and he just dies over time. You don't really have to focus on hitting him. You can just focus on hitting the boss most of the time. So because of that, I'd say Vryss is an A tier boss. She's not a demon, which is kind of negative points. If she was a demon, this would be an S tier boss, that's for sure. But for now, I'll just put her in A tier. Next, we've got Endugu. I think this boss was deleted from the game, and I'm very glad that he was deleted from the game, because this was by far the worst boss to deal with. I'm going to put him right at the bottom of F tier. If he somehow makes a return to the game, then yeah, I would say definitely quit the game. He's got the Fetish summons, which move at 1,000 miles per hour. He kind of spawns shrines as well, which can shield them or give them more attack bonus, and he's just a complete nightmare to deal with. Worst boss in the game. And I hope he never comes back. Next, we've got going from the worst boss to the best boss in the game. We've got the lizard, Igonicus, and this is definitely the best. I'm going to put him at the top of the list. He's definitely the best boss in the game for both melee and ranged, in my opinion. The attacks are all telegraphed and easy to see. The only attack which can really kill you is the one where he puts the flame in the air, and other than that, they're all very easy to dodge, and he actually gets easier over time as the fight goes on, because he stops doing the attacks where he shoots the flames in the sky, and rather he does the kind of flame breathing, which moves in a straight line, and it's very easy to dodge. So really nice boss. It's a demon, very easy to deal with, best boss in the game. I wish they were all like this. Okay, so next we've got Perdition, which looks very similar to Igonicus. So you'd think he'd be really good, but actually not a great boss at all. I'd say that this boss is it's kind of a shame because it's a demon, so you think, okay, it's good, but it's definitely not one of the best at all. I'd put him in C tier. This guy jumps around way too much, and it doesn't seem like you can damage him too much while he's jumping. I can't imagine this boss is good for melee classes either. He does also some strange hitbox attacks, which hit the ground and also cause a lot of damage, and just really annoying. Next we've got the Summoner, which is also not a very good boss. I'd say Summoner is probably C tier, maybe B tier for some people, but I'm going to put him in C tier. The minions are kind of annoying to deal with. They do also die over time, same like Vryss, but they're pretty annoying to deal with. Sometimes he spawns them right on you, so they attack instantly, which is really annoying, depending on the map layout and where you are. His attacks are pretty easy. He's got the ice attack, which is pretty easy to dodge. He's got the dash attack, which you can see he's going to dash straight at you, so you can move and dodge that. But he just takes a bit too long to kill, and yeah, his minions are pretty annoying. Next, we've got the snake, the Flayed, and this boss is a pretty good one, I'd say. He is a bit of a challenge to deal with just because of his attacks. He shoots up the poison in the air, and it comes and hits the ground, but you can kind of see where it is. As the fight goes on, he's going to shoot more of those, but you can kind of see also where they're going to be. The early attack, which is a bit of a challenge, is kind of the triple poison shot that he does, and you kind of always want to be behind him for that. So I'm going to put him in A tier, since he's also a demon. I'd say if you know his mechanics, he's definitely a good boss to fight. But if you're not able to kind of quickly react to what he's going to do, then it quickly becomes one of the worst bosses in the game. But for now, I'm going to put him in A tier for me. And last but not least, we've got the Countess, aka the Sanguine Queen, and I'd say this boss is a B tier boss, probably with Crusader King, maybe slightly higher than Crusader King. This is also a demon. I'd say it's pretty easy to deal with this boss. The only problem as a range class is that the minions are really hard to deal with sometimes. If you can kill the minions, then this boss becomes an S tier or A tier boss. But the bat attack that she does is pretty easy. You just stand still, basically. Same as how you deal with it in the dungeons, and other than that, she's got the kind of lunge attack, or the where she uses her weapon, but that's also telegraphed. You can see the range of it, so it's pretty easy to deal with. It's all about just the minions. If you can kill the minions, then she's definitely a good boss to fight. So that's pretty much it for the tier list, guys. Now I'm going to move on to talk about the boss mechanics, and just so this video doesn't drag on and I give you guys the most value, I'm only going to focus on the S, A, and B tier bosses. For all of the other bosses, unless you guys have an insane amount of time left on the Rift, I would say just quit and re-roll the Rift, because it's not really worth playing them. So first let's talk about Igonicus, which in my opinion is the best boss in the game for both melee and range classes. So this is a very straightforward boss to deal with, and he's a demon. He's got two phases. In the first phase, he can do 3 attacks. One is the ground stomp attack, which he only hits forward, so if you're behind him, you'll be fine. The second one is the flame arc, which he's doing now, and also if you're behind him, that's not going to hit you. It's very easy to dodge. And lastly, he's got this attack, like I said, which he shoots fire into the sky, and it's like 3 rounds of attacks, which also can one-shot you. So that's really the only attack you need to be careful of. If he shoots the fire into the sky, you just need to kind of focus more on dodging that attack rather than hitting him, unless it's very safe to do so. One thing is that you don't want to move back to him too quick, because the fire effect stays on the ground a bit longer than you think, so it can still damage you even if it looks like it's kind of went away, but it hasn't. So you just need to be a bit slow at moving back to him to keep damaging him, but other than that, you can kind of stay in melee range. Just stay behind him most of the time so he doesn't hit you with the flame arc or the ground stomp attack. So once you get him to about 50% life, you're going to start the second phase, and the second phase is actually a lot easier to deal with than the first phase. He's going to spawn minions at the second phase, and the minions are so easy to kill, and even if you don't kill them, they do barely any damage. They're very easy to deal with. So he's still doing the ground stomp on the second phase, so you always want to still be behind him. And instead of shooting the fire in the sky, which is his most dangerous attack in the first phase, he only does a flamethrower, which just moves straight ahead. So also, if you're behind him, you're just going to dominate this boss. So overall, this boss is just a joy to fight, and he takes so much damage, especially if you have demon damage on your Reforges and in your Reliquary. Just stay behind him for all of the fight, and the only attack you need to be careful of is when he shoots fire up in the sky. That's when you need to know it's coming up in the rotation, and just to dodge it when it comes up, and that's only in the first phase. So next we've got Vekaja, who's also a demon and also S tier in my opinion. For ranged classes, this boss is super easy. So the most dangerous two parts of this boss is if you're in range, she can hit you with the stick and one-shot you. And also the minions are very annoying to deal with because they soak up all the damage while you're trying to hit her. But if you're a ranged class, you can avoid both of these things. So if you noticed here, as soon as she spawned, I started getting out of range of her, and I'm actually not able to see her HP most of the time that I'm hitting her. This is crucial, because if you do this right from the start when she spawns, you can actually kind of bug her minion spawn ability. And if you notice, for most of this fight, this is by the way my Challenger 500 clear, for most of this fight she's not able to spawn minions most of the time, and you can just keep damaging her while staying out of range of her stick attack, and she won't spawn any minions, so she's taking most of the damage. She's not going to soak up any of the damage from the minions, and she's just a super easy boss to deal with. Just you have to have enough time to kind of deal with all the health that she has. So if you don't want her to spawn the minions, it's just very crucial that as soon as she spawns and you notice it's this boss, you just need to move out of range and actually not be able to see the HP bar while you're damaging her for the first kind of minute or so, and then she won't be spawning minions for most of the fight. She might spawn minions once or twice, but other than that she won't be spawning most of the time. So before I move on from Vekaja, I also want to talk about how to fight her as a melee class, because the fight as a melee class is a lot different and slightly more difficult. You actually need to stay behind her in this very specific spot so that you don't get hit by her stick. So I'll just show you guys, I'm always kind of staying 180 degrees from where she's hitting. And you can see that every time she spawns or repositions, I'm always going behind her. So you can see here, I went right behind her, 180 degrees. And as a range class, you kind of tend to die a lot from the minions, but if you're tanky enough, you'll be able to kill them in time. But the annoying thing is that they will soak up a lot of the damage if you're a melee class. But hopefully if your damage output is good enough, and because she's a demon also, you might be able to kill her. But just to show you guys a few times, I'm always running behind her to the specific spot that I know she'll never hit me with her bat. And that's how I'm always playing it. If I'm in a really bad position, like you saw there, and I don't have enough time to go behind her, I always just move away and try to reposition myself. Just be careful, because sometimes the hitbox is a bit strange, so always keep watching like how she's going to attack. It's always the same pattern. So next we've got the A tier bosses. I'm going to start with the Flayed, aka the Snake. And he's a pretty easy boss to deal with, and also a demon. For this boss, he does also spawn minions, but they're pretty easy to deal with, and they have low health, and they're all melee minions, so it's very straightforward to deal with them. The only attack which is a bit tough to deal with is the one where he shoots poison into the sky, and also the one where he shoots 3 different poison arrows or poison shots that can hit you at very strange angles. So he starts off with hitting 1 poison circle up into the sky, then it moves to 3, and then it moves to 5 at the end. You just need to be careful. You always need to stay behind him when it's possible. Especially when he does the 3 poison shot attack, like I said. So you can see right here that I know that the poison attack is coming up because he just finished his rotation of shooting the poison into the sky, and you can see my friend got caught by one of the poison shots, the triple poison shots there. He moved to the edge, but it still hit him. So you want to be completely behind him when he finishes his rotation of shooting poison in the sky. Otherwise, there's a high chance that the poison attack hits you. So here it's coming up that he's going to shoot it. I know he's going to shoot his poison attack. So what I do is I move all the way behind him just so it doesn't hit me. And if you do that correctly, you're going to have a very easy time with this boss. Before moving on, the last thing I want to say is that this boss is very hard to deal with if you're in a closed area. Because of all these poison attacks that he shoots up in the sky, you want to have enough space just to move through them and not get hit by them. So the good thing is that he moves pretty fast. So if he spawns in a bad area, just kind of maneuver him so he moves into a better positioned area, and you'll have a much easier time dealing with him. So this is a good example of what not to do and what will get you killed. So right now he just started his rotation for the poison in the sky attack, and when the third kind of series of those attacks hits the ground, that means he's going to spawn minions and then do his triple poison attack. So even though I knew it was coming up, I didn't go behind him, and as you can see, she just moved into the kind of attack on the edge there, and that got me killed. So make sure you always go behind him when he's going to do that attack, otherwise you're going to have a really tough time dodging it. So the next boss in A tier that I want to talk about is Vryss, and this is a very, very straightforward boss to deal with. The only shame is that it isn't a demon, but as you can see now, she's doing her kind of skulls attack where you just want to stay in an open space in the middle of them and they won't touch you. And now she spawned the golem, which is also very easy to deal with. His jump is telegraphed and his melee attack range is quite short, so you just need to keep staying away from him and dodging him, and he won't hit you. And he also dies over time, so you don't really have to focus on him. You can see I'm just avoiding him here and trying to hit her as much as possible. The only thing you have to be careful of is when she does this attack coupled with the golem, because he can jump on you, so you always want to make sure you're in an open area just so you can move away from the circle that he's going to jump in. Other than that, she's got this attack here, which is very easy to deal with because you can see the range of it. And she also shoots these solo red skulls, which do move pretty fast, but they're very easy to deal with if you just keep rotating around them. And once again, she's doing the kind of group red skulls where you just stand still. They're also very easy to deal with, like I said. And she also shoots the kind of very slow green skulls here, which are very, very easy to deal with. So overall, this boss is super easy. You just need to make sure you have a lot of time on the clock because, like I said, she isn't a demon, so she will take you a fair bit to kill. So next we have the first boss from B tier, which is the Countess, and this boss is also a demon, and she's very similar to Vryss. The only problem is that the minions that she spawns are very dangerous to deal with. So she's got kind of the sword attack, which is very slow and also is telegraphed. You can see the range of it, so it's very easy to dodge. And like you can see here, she spawned the minions, and these minions are actually kind of a pain to deal with, especially if you're a range class. Like the archer in the back there can one-shot you, so I'm just trying to keep my range away from him here. But it's really annoying because sometimes they can soak up too much damage, and that's kind of what's holding this boss back from being really great. But other than that, once you've got her about a third of the way down, she's also going to start doing the bats attack, which is the series of rotating bats, which is the same as she does in the Forgotten Tower dungeon. And I made the mistake of being at range here, so I couldn't really see the bats, and they ended up one-shotting me, even though they didn't appear on my screen. But you have to stay kind of a bit close to her, just so you can kind of see where they are. You can see that it just one-shot me here, even though I thought I was off-screen enough. So the really annoying thing is that when the scaling is like this, her minions have so much health, and they do move pretty fast, and you can't seem to separate her from her minions, so a lot of the time they will be killing you. So honestly, I wouldn't recommend playing this boss if you're pushing for 500, but under usual circumstances, she's a very easy boss to deal with, just because you can kill the minions very easily and just focus on damaging her. So that's just the way that you have to play her. So the final boss I'm going to talk about is the second boss in B tier, which is the Crusader King. So a lot of people seem to think that this boss is very hard, but I actually had this boss in my 498 clear, and I didn't end up dying once. So he might be a very hard boss to deal with if you're a melee class, but for a range class, he's super easy to deal with. So the annoying thing is that he also spawns minions, but unlike the Countess minions, his minions move pretty slow, and the only one that can really kill you is the one that kind of shoots the arrows. So what you want to do is you always know he's going to end up spawning the minions on you. So once he spawns minions on you, you actually just want to rotate to the other side. So the name of the game with this boss is you just need to be patient. So you can see that I'm always kiting him while attacking him. And once he puts his mace up in the sky like this, that means he's going to spawn the minions on me. I immediately rotate to the other side. And you want to put him between the minions and you. If you do that correctly, the minions are actually going to be much slower than him, and he's going to keep moving towards you, and you can just focus on him all the time, which is what I'm doing here. And again, once he reaches a certain health breakpoint, he's going to spawn minions, and once again, I'm going to rotate to the other side. So that's kind of what you want to keep doing, just kiting and hitting him, kiting and hitting him. And his attacks are very basic and easy to deal with and pretty short range, so just never get too close to him. And as soon as you see that he's putting his mace up in the sky, always just rotate to the other side, and you'll find that he's a very easy boss to deal with as long as you're patient. So that's all the bosses that I wanted to talk about in this video, guys. Hopefully that's been helpful. As usual, if you guys have any questions, then feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And also, if there's any melee players out there who want to give tips to their fellow melee players, then also please do put those in the comments section. I've had the idea to make a video like this for a long while now because it's always interesting for me to look at boss mechanics and the best way to fight them. But it's always just been on the back burner because I just haven't had enough time to edit it and get up all the data for all of these bosses. But since I had all the footage for pushing for my Challenger 500, I had all of this footage already saved. So I thought, why not make the best use out of it and give you guys this info. So with that said, I just want to wish everybody who's pushing these last few hours of the season good luck. If you don't know, the season is ending at 8 a.m. server time, so make sure that you push for the challenge rift just to get the rewards that you want. I hope that this info stays relevant and Blizzard doesn't add any new bosses or change the mechanics in the next patch, but if they do, I'll be making an updated video of this tier list. So with that said, I'll be signing off. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.